Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you could see it and you could purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing the most interesting modern family of chronographs not named Duomet. This is the 2010 200-piece limited edition Jaeger-LeCoultre Amvox 2 Grand Chronograph, a timepiece that is 44 millimeters in red gold, and on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, it wears a lot like my old titanium Amvox 2, which is to say, the timepiece wears smaller than a 44 has any right to. The watch is reasonably slim at 15 millimeters, and we'll go over why that is truly slim considering in a moment, and it's less than 50 millimeters from lug to lug at 49.4. I can recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 14.5 centimeters circumference. The spacing between the lugs is a nice modern 24 millimeters, so it has a very planted stance and proportional footing on the wrist. The strap features an embossed technical style calfskin over a more traditional calfskin base, and you can see that the broguing of the two includes a insewn golden reflective layer, and this is truly a light-catching reflective layer that will light up in the glow of trackside ambient at the 24 Hours of Le Mans or Daytona. Now the strap is also thickly bolstered. You can see there's a lot of material, JLC not pinching pennies, and even giving you racing-style Alcantara, a super premium simulated suede that is both resilient and comfortable on the underside. And note the use of curved spring bars to allow the watch to be drilled close to the case, thus easily pivoting down around a small wrist, but also able to move without any constraint. Clever design right there. A full red gold double deployant clasp to match the case. You can see the curvature of the chassis itself is actually curved to match the underside of your wrist, so it's very comfortable on the wrist as well as providing insurance against droppage. The Amvox is an incredible machine. As you can see, the case back is cambered to arc over your wrist and hug your wrist because the motion of the case on its ball bearing pivots starts and stops the chronograph. There's a locking system so that you can't accidentally start or stop, and then there's a locking system so you can't accidentally reset. Right in the middle, you were able to use the vertical trigger system, that is the pivot of the case itself, to stop and start the chronograph, as well as, by pushing at 6 o'clock, restart the chronograph. The idea being that when you are wearing racing gloves, for example, during the 24 Hours of Le Mans while working for the Aston Martin team, it's easier to push a case than it is to fiddle with screw-down chronograph pushers or chronograph pushers of any kind, and the system works well. You'll also note the automotive motif runs amok throughout this watch, as you have a gas cap style crown. You have a dial that is not calibrated, if you'll note, on its lower sweep between 4 and 8. That is because on a Jaeger tachometer or speedometer, the bottom would not be calibrated, as that is the range that the needle does not traverse on your dashboard. You can see a David Brown style, and if you know Aston Martins, you'll know the David Brown era, but a DB style mesh grille on the base of the dial, and then you can see that the font that is actually used is a tribute in rather unlikely fashion both to the staggered numerals of an automotive instrument, but also the font used on the original 1968 Polaris. So an unexpected nod right there. You also note that there is a white chaptering with hash marks against which to read the chronograph seconds and fractions of seconds. When you get closer, you can see that there are small striations inside the hands to aid in the contrast against the dial base, and you also note that all of the numerals are actually applique, and not just applique, but they've been hand-filled with lume. There is a small constant seconds indicator down at 6 o'clock. This is one of the main differences between the Amvox 1 original and subsequent variants like the DBS and the Grand Chronograph. You have a small constant seconds indicator so that the dial isn't dead when you stop the chronograph, and you will note that inside that constant seconds indicator there is the Aston Martin wing logo. You can see the escapement beating away underneath, and you'll note that both chronograph hours and chronograph minutes, and by the way, instantaneous jumping chronograph minutes, are on sapphire discs. Now there are also gold indices on the dial, and you'll note through the base of the dial you can actually see the ball bearing pivots of the chronograph hammer system. So I'll let you watch the rollover of the minutes so you can see the instantaneous minute jump of this particular chronograph mechanism. And it jumps right at the turnover. And now I will show you how the hammers work down at 6 o'clock. I've stopped the mechanism. I'm going to reset, watch through the dial, and you can actually see the mechanism at work. Now I should mention the watch does feature stop seconds. It features a quick set date. It features not just the vertical trigger system, but a vertical clutch. So when you start the chronograph, there's never any stagger or jump. And if you prefer to leave the chronograph running, the vertical clutch creates no additional wear and tear. Underneath this richly layered dial, there is also a column wheel mechanism, the better to make for a very crisp actuation. Listen. It is a sharp, crisp, and rewarding column wheel feel. This is Jaeger-LeCoultre manufacturer caliber 751E automatic winding twin mainspring barrels for both a long power reserve of 65 hours and an even torque release after 24 and 48 hours that prevents the major amplitude drop off that can cause long duration single barrel movements to lose time as they run down. Not a problem here. It features a full balance bridge with, a free sprung balance, not a full bridge, it has a half bridge, but a free sprung balance that makes it highly shock resistant. And I should mention, adding to the shock resistance is the welded hairspring that's welded at the stud and the collet to prevent inadvertent movement. All of this beating away at 28,800 vibrations per hour, and water resistance in spite of the extraordinary multi-pivoted, multi-part case. Water resistance here is 50 meters, so this is a full-fledged sports watch. Of course, automatic winding. It features both unidirectional winding, more efficient than bidirectional, and ceramic rotor bearings for a rotor that is maintenance-free and high efficiency. You can see and own this Amvox 2 Grand Chronograph on the watch box. You may wonder how the Amvox 2 Grand Chronograph differs from the DBS that preceded it. Well, this is a thicker watch with more gold because this case was originally created for the JLC transponder watches based on the Amvox 2 that could lock, unlock, or chirp the horn on your Aston Martin. Eliminate the electronic component and you get the Grand Chronograph.